In honor of Valentine's Day this month, here are a couple of random romance books that I really enjoyed that I feel like fit this month really well. Starting with a book that's actually based on Valentine's Day, The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. Take a second to just look at those sprayed edges because how cute are they? Anything written by Lynn Painter is and can fit in this month because they're all so good. So this YA romance is based on Valentine's Day. Our main female character is really excited for Valentine's Day. She has the perfect boyfriend. She thinks it's going to be the perfect day, and it ends up being a dumpster fire. So many things happen to her on this day, and she's just ready for the day to be over with. Turns out she wakes up and it's Valentine's Day again. She relives the same day over and over and over again until suddenly she doesn't. And after reliving the same day, she realizes some things and meets some new people. I think this is a super cute book. It's very short and it should definitely be on your TBR for this month. Now, because I do love Lynn Painter so much, I have to also give you a adult romance rec, and it would have to be The Love Wager. Our main two characters end up having a one-night stand and wake up the next morning, and he notices that she is trying to belly crawl out of the hotel room away from him, and it's quite funny. And then later on, they, go their separate ways. They think that they're gonna move on from each other, never gonna see each other again. Both join a dating app, and who do they come across? Their one-night stand. They end up chatting and actually become good friends on the app and decide to be each other's wing person and go on dates at the same places. And if they don't end up liking the date, they meet up afterwards for tacos every single time. This is definitely a must read. It's one of my favorite books by her. I find these characters just so funny and relatable, and the plot is great. Now for something a little different, I love a good historical romance, and I think this book by Rebecca Yarros, The Things We Leave Unfinished, is one of my favorites. What I love about this book is there's not only one romance, you get two. Now, it's kind of hard to sum it up for you in such a short amount of time, but I'm going to do my best to give you a good idea of what it's about. Our main character, she's young. She has grown up with her grandmother, who's pretty much like a mother figure to her, who has recently passed away, and her grandmother was a very well-known author, and she left behind a story that was unfinished. It was actually a story of her life, and she didn't plan to do anything with it, but our main female character's mother is back in the picture and is really wanting some. And so she is trying to talk her daughter into selling her grandmother's story to be finished and published. And she is like, no, please don't do this. Like, I don't think it's a good idea. And then she comes around to the idea of maybe letting someone mess with it and just see how they do with it. And so in comes our main male character, and that is that's one love story. So you have them, but at the same time, while he is finishing off the story for her grandmother, we are getting the grandmother's story, which is based in World War II, I believe. Let me remember. Yes, it's World War II. I had a brain fart for a second. But her grandmother meets somebody who is a pilot, and she also is working in the war front. And that story is probably my favorite. I love their story, but both of them are really great, and I think all in all this is a really good read. It's very moving, the ending, but that's how Rebecca does it. So just be prepared to bawl, but also have a new favorite book. I recently discovered my love for Abby Jimenez, and I've read 4 of her books now, and this is one of my favorites, yours truly. I think all of her books are so good, and she actually reminds me a lot of Lynn Painter, but she is more, yes, her books are rom-coms, adult, but hers have like a lot more depth and emotion, I feel like, than Lynn Painter does. This is actually book 2 in a series of interconnected standalones. Yes, it can be read by itself, but I do recommend you go and look up the other books in this series if you plan to read it, because they're all really great and they all come together in a really neat way, and so I do recommend looking that up if you want to read it. If you hear crazy things happening in the background, it's because I have Harry Potter playing. Okay, all the time. Gives off a bit of Grey's Anatomy vibes, a little bit, so if you like that show, I think you would like this book as well. Our main female and male character are both doctors. She's going through a really hard time. She's going through a divorce. Her brother needs a kidney. There's a new male doctor at her work that's driving her insane. He does something, and instead of apologizing in person, he decides, I'm going to write her a letter. And so a new game starts between them, and they're writing letters back and forth, and that's how they get to know each other, and it's very cute. It turns out he's actually not as bad as she thought he was, and I'm going to leave that there. There is so much more to this book, and it's really a great story. Definitely need to give it a try. If you love Brother's Best Friend, this one is for you. This is a adult country romance, and yes, it is by Elsie Silver. This is Wild Love, and it is the first book in a series. He's a billionaire and possibly a father after a 12-year-old little girl shows up on his doorstep and claims that he is, never met her, and now he's having to come to terms with the fact that he is potentially somebody's dad. So now he's going through that at the same time, handling his job and also his best friend's little sister who has given him a hard time his whole life and vice versa. And then he decides to hire her. So they're stuck together like all the time. It's really cute and kind of spicy. Last but not least, we love a good second chance romance story, especially childhood best friends to lovers. I love this book. This is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. What I really love in a book is alternating timelines. I love that this story is giving us present day, but then going back and helping us understand our two characters and how they met and how they grew up together and fell in love and how certain things went about, and now we're in the present and something has brought them apart and she is now getting married to somebody else, but she runs into him again after a long time of not seeing each other, and there's still some sparks there. Just holding this book and talking about it makes me want to read it again because it is that good. I love this, and it actually sat on my shelf for like over a year before I read it because I was like never in the mood for it, and then once I read it I was like, I can't believe that sat on my shelf for so long because this is one of my favorite books, and I feel like everyone should at least have read this book. It needs to be on everybody's shelf because it is so good. I hope you got at least one good recommendation from this video. I know I've talked about these books so many times and some of them are really popular, but they are honestly just really, really good. So go get your reading on.